can just.
All right.
You're right.
Okay, it's fine.
Let's do a test and make sure that
Wait,
like, the
okay, if
audio
we
is
mess
good.
up, you can just restart it.
It'll be fine.
So wait, can we plan what we're talking about first?
No, let's just talk.
Yeah, let's just talk.
Okay, just talk.
Okay,
Please.
so I think the characters grew a lot, and especially like when Jem, this is just a specific example, when Jem was talking to Scout, he was like, that's what I thought too. When I was your age, if I thought there was just one kind of folks. Why can't we all get along with each other if we're all alike? Why do we go out of our way to despise each other? I thought that was very wise. What is it?
I think that shows a lot of, like, we talked about how kids don't have prejudice. They aren't born with prejudice and discrimination. They can learn it from the people around them. And obviously Jem and Scout, like, didn't grow up with that around them. They grew up with Atticus, who, like, believed in equality and fairness. And I don't know, we just really saw that in that quote too. On how, like, in their eyes, like, they don't have prejudice.
I think after the court case though, like talk about like losing like innocence and stuff, they I think they realized that, you know, life isn't as fair as it seems, because Jem really thought that Tom Robinson would win because it was like the fair thing.
And it was all the evidence.
Yeah, even though, but he, you know, he obviously didn't win because he was African American. So
Yeah.
It wasn't even that Atticus taught them not to be racist. Like, there's like kids who grow up to be prejudiced when their parents aren't.
Yeah.
It's that Atticus taught them other like important lessons. Like one of the prompts was like resilience and hope, and I really think that because Atticus is so like positive of everything and like generally like hopeful in society when it's so obviously bad, is why Jem and Scout are the way they are.
Yeah.
Speaking on prejudice, I'm gonna argue the kids were prejudiced against Boo Radley. You know, they thought he was a weirdo. But at the end, you know, when they really learned about his character, what's it called? I stopped thinking, you know, like he was just a weird guy, and that's why everybody left him alone. They realized, like, oh, he wants to be alone, and we must leave him to it. I think that like goes into one of the what's it called? The main, not main themes, but like the main quote of To Kill a Mockingbird is that what I think it means is like you shouldn't bother those who don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
On page 319, when Boo Radley is inside of their home, Scout is like, you can pet him, Mr. Arthur, he's asleep. But I feel like it really showcases his personality and who he is just by like the description. It doesn't really say what he's like other than his physical description. Yeah, Boo Radley.
Wait, can I go back to the girls thing?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't think they're intentionally
I was gonna say that.
I think it's pure just naiveness or whatever.
Yeah, I think most of like that like prejudice like stems from fear, because they don't have, you know, he's like this like enigma thing of like they've never seen him, like does he even exist? But I think like as the book progressed, I think like Scout said in one of the chapters where like she's not even like that scared of him anymore, she's just like more curious about him.
Yeah. I liked the foreshadowing in chapter 26 when they were talking about, like, she had really been thinking back about Boo, and then he ended up showing up again. I don't know, and like you guys said, like, he doesn't want to be acknowledged as much, he just wants to, like, help people, but, like, he remains quiet and, like, in his own little world, which I liked that.
Yeah.
And then also, I wanted to bring this up, the change on their view of Atticus, because I wrote about that in one of my journals, like, the kids kind of just saw him like, oh yeah, like, he's a good person, like, he's a good father, but, like, he's kind of boring, like, I don't know, like, that's kind of how I saw their view of them, or of him. And then after this, like, I think Jem especially, like, he really saw the, like, courage his dad had on, like, going up, even when all the odds were against him, and then it was, like, the disillusionment, and it was, like, not every time that somebody does the right thing, they're not gonna win. Like, I just thought that was, like, a big growing point for Jem specifically.
Speaking of the trial, what are you guys' opinions on what was it, the Ewells, the like Bob Ewell, and like the rest
Bro,
of them?
it's
Yeah.
Ewell.
Yeah.
Ewell.
I think
Ewell?
It's you.
I hate him, bro.
Like, Jackson, what do you think?
Not a great guy. I mean, he like jumped through kids.
I mean, that was like, we knew
drunk.
something bad was gonna happen, but I just didn't really think that it was gonna be the kids.
Yeah, I think it's so
I don't
low
know.
that you go for the kids.
Yeah.
Trying to affect Atticus.
And
that
he was
really
like,
shows his character.
and he was like stalking that one girl, his
They-
wife, like on her
Oh,
way to
yeah.
work.
Yeah.
But I think the
Tom's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Eagles. I think they represent like not another like people in the county are prejudiced against, but like another group of like Southerners, which was like the poor white trash.
Yeah.
Around the time that like nobody really liked because they all acted bad, but like was it really their fault for acting bad, or is it just like the situation they
That's
came
what I was
up
gonna say.
in?
It's like not an excuse, but there's an explanation to why they act that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to excuse like his behavior. He's a terrible person, but like see how they live and like how they're treated constantly. It's unfair.
Do you guys think his murder was justified?
Hobbs.
Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was self-defense.
Self-defense.
It was fully self-defense. He was trying to
It really.
kill Jem.
Kill
I mean,
It really
he
was.
started
Jem
it.
killed him?
He started it.
No,
Yeah.
I
No.
actually do think Jem killed
Jem
him.
did not kill him.
Who killed him?
It was.
But like,
it
Boo
was
didn't
Boo.
kill him on
It was
the
Boo.
surface.
Yeah, Boo was just doing what he thought was right.
Yeah.
And that's what Heck knew. And
Yeah, I think
Atticus knew that after he got past the point of thinking it was Jem.
Yeah. And I think like Heck really, in a way, I think it was like one of the journals where it was like empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Heck, like, he really understood that Boo was like this fine person and he wouldn't be able to like kind of like manage like all of the stuff that would be happening if he were to be like in court and like
Yeah.
go through all the legal process.
He would never
Just,
recover
you
from
know,
that.
He wouldn't.
But how do you guys feel about him like not trying to defend his son at all and just saying like just go through the courts? Because at first I was like it was
Well-
if it was my kid, I get it though because he's like a good moral person.
They're very Christian, right?
I don't know.
That's
Radleys?
because that's because he values justice and
Oh, the
Yeah,
Radlers.
that's
I
right.
guess.
fairness.
Yeah, that's what I was
first.
thinking about. Not Atticus, but I
But
would
like
kill him.
in my like if I was Atticus, I don't think I would do what he did. I think I would try to like get my son out of it.
I'm,
He
I'm,
just wanted to not have that bias towards his son,
Yeah.
which like I respected that, but
It really shows
I
his
get it.
character.
Like as a
Yeah.
parent, you want to protect your kids, but like he wanted his kids to see that like when you do something wrong, you have to face consequences. You don't just get out of it
yeah.
like
But-
everybody else has done, like Bob did.
When Tate and him were talking, I think Atticus knew it was Boo. I think he knew.
I thought he thought that it was Jem.
Yeah, he did, but I'm pretty sure he like switched into thinking.
Well,
it
he
was-
did
Yeah.
eventually, but at the start of it.
And Tate was like, "Leave the dead for the dead" or something like that.
Mhm.
And I feel like, I don't know, that would be the right thing. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about the title really quick because I remember, like, I don't remember who said it. I think it was Atticus, but I think he said that.
I thought it was Scout that
Was
said
Scout?
it would be like killing a mockingbird.
Yeah,
That was
it
at
was.
the
It
very
would be a
end.
sin to
Yeah.
kill a mockingbird
That was
because.
the uncle. who said
Well,
that.
it was
Well, somebody
that was,
said
that was
it.
like in section 3, I think.
Section
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was very
Yeah, but
beginning.
there's another part that.
Yeah, somebody said it that to like
when they
to
got
kill a
the scouts
mockingbird
and
is a
the guns.
sin because they like only do good. They only like sing songs and they do. They're like
thought it was
Mind their own
innocent.
business.
And I
It's
think
Scout.
That said to.
like it
to
kind of
say-
represents like.
They said it's
Oh, in the beginning or in
Tom
the end?
Robinson.
Oh.
And I think like the mockingbird could represent Tom Robinson or Boo Radley in a way
Yeah.
because like they're kind of like they're innocent. Obviously, they're not even though they're convicted and like they say it's a sin to kill a mockingbird and that's kind of what they did with Tom Robinson and everybody knew it was wrong. Like similar to
That's a good point. I feel like you could also connect that to Boo Radley because he hasn't
Yeah,
done anything
Boo
wrong.
Radley.
Like,
Oh
do
yeah, sure.
Do you think
And he
that,
saved them.
Boo Radley not being put out in the public is amending like their sin of killing a mockingbird because Tom Robinson died. Tom Robinson got killed because he was disturbed, and when Boo Radley was disturbed, they had the option of like putting him out in the public and just like in the public's eyes, but they chose not to.
Do you think it's justified?
Well, no, I'm saying like, do you think well, the decision differs from like Tom Robinson was like a mockingbird and he got disturbed and eventually killed while Boo Radley was also a mockingbird. Like he wasn't.
I think it shows like what you decide to put them through. Like Tom was disturbed, obviously, so like it didn't end well for him, so they chose not to disturb Boo and like leave him alone to be able to deal with this on his own and just go back to being quiet and like just help people like silently and do things by himself. Like I just feel like when Scout was on his porch and she had that flashback to Atticus saying like you have to see people from like their point of view and like go into their skin, like that's like was huge to me because it was like they just chose to leave him and like let him be on his own. Like that's like the best thing they could have done for him. But like Tom had a terrible experience with it.
I think it is obvious, but I think it just plays the whole race thing and how
Yeah.
deeply embedded racism is like into their society, how systemic it is. So like Boo Radley was a weirdo, but he wasn't black.
Yeah,
so
he was.
they let him have peace.
Yeah,
But Tom never knew peace.
yeah.
You guys remember that? I forgot what page it was. It was when they were talking. Do you guys remember when they were like talking about Hitler?
Oh yeah, I
no?
do. It was.
Oh yeah.
It was.
That was in class, and she talked to Atticus about it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like questioning like why do they, what's it called? Why do they hate Hitler for hating the Jews while they hit on black people,
Yeah.
like fighting them? Like
I think that kind of marks the moment where Scout kind of really starts
yes.
taking in Atticus's lessons
Yeah.
and matures, because like if you think of like in the beginning of the book, if you asked her something like that, like she didn't even know that how deep the racism was in the beginning of the book, or like if it even existed, and the fact that she recognized that, it shows how much.
And that was like the whole like missionary circle thing too, when they were like, we help all these people, but they hate on them so much. Like it was like she had a moment where she's like, why do you guys act like you're so much better than everybody else? Like that's how I took it.
What is your opinion on Miss Maudie?
You remind me of.
She
She was the lady that the house burnt down.
Yeah.
And,
She was very up and going. She was like, I can rebuild.
She kind of reminds me of my grandma in a sense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She's like really sweet. Like she tries to like teach the kids some lessons, but you know at the end of the day she really likes them a lot. And, you know she takes
She's
care
not
of
as
them.
gossipy as others.
Yeah. I feel like she's more with like Atticus too, where they're like a little bit different in their society and Wickham, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because like
you
I
think
feel like
about Alexandra.
Oh yeah.
So what were you gonna say?
I know, yeah. Because I was gonna say I feel like Miss Maudie was like a great what's it called?
Female role model.
Yeah, female
Yeah,
role
yeah.
model.
Oh, yeah.
For
Scout, yeah. Because I didn't like Aunt Alexandra.
No.
Like she was not a
I
good role
don't-
Oh
model.
yeah.
I don't blame. Wait, yeah, she's bad. This is one of those like explanation things where it's like
That's
She's
so
just
she's just
what-
trying to fit in society.
I wrote about her behavior in my journals because I was like,
What's her name? What's
Mr.
who?
Rose.
No, who was the one that accused Tom Robinson? What was her name?
Mayella.
Yeah.
Mayella.
Her. She kind of reminded me of the wife in A Mice and Men because how lonely she was and like how she was surrounded by people but she didn't really have anybody. And I think it's the same thing, like the theme of loneliness that drove her to Tom Robinson.
Yeah. When we read, when we were reading and it was Tom Robinson's testimony and he was saying how she came on to him, I just wasn't expecting that.
Me.
I just thought it was just gonna be like her accusing him, but like nothing ever happened. But like, Bob just saw them in there. I didn't think it was gonna be like he saw them kissing.
I thought it was implied that like, Bob did something to Maya.
Well, no, I knew Bob hurt her, but I thought it was just because she saw him in the house, not like something was happening, like not her coming on to him.
Like, he was going out of his way to help her. Like
Yeah.
like every once in a while, like he said, like cut up the something drove.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that one scene where he said like he felt bad for her and like everybody went quiet because like because of the racism, like everybody's like really like a black person feels bad for like a white girl and everybody was just like shocked about that. But to me it was just like showing how kind he was.
It's just empathy. It's just basic human emotions.
And it's also so crazy how like I know I like almost tried justifying it by saying like, hey, what's his face? Bob was like that because he was so like hated against. But like you see Tom Robinson and a bunch of other like black individuals in the town and they're so kind to everyone. And they didn't turn out like Bob, but they're like treated probably much worse. So like it's a difference in that. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the difference in Kelper's life, like the double life.
I love her.
I really did love her. She was a great character.
Yeah.
It made me mad that like Aunt Alexandra like didn't like her, like wanted her out.
I
feel
just hate
I know.
Alexandra. I
feel like she came in the house and she just like was like she felt like she was the boss, started bossing everybody around, even though California did like so much for all of them.
How women were at the time.
Atticus
when
said.
we were in like this society was so like you gotta fit in or you're a weirdo.
Yeah, you have to really be feminine when you're a female. Like they
And,
just
and like Atticus is already being like hated on. Like, do that mean? Like,
and she just made it worse. She was like, I don't want our family reputation to be ruined. But like he was just being a good person.
Wait, Jackson, what was your opinion on Dill?
On Dill?
On Dill.
yeah.
I mean, like, just ran on. He didn't have to.
Wait, he didn't?
Dolphus.
Why, like,
It was
I-
like Scout's companion.
I mean,
Dolphus
I
Raymond.
mean, at the court, what was he?
because I think he represents like the innocence of a
Oh, yeah.
child. Well, because like while Jem and Scout matured as kids more than usual, he stayed the same.
He was definitely more of a, acting more of a child.
I liked Dolphus Raymond's thing where he was like, they cling to racism because it makes them comfortable. I wrote about that a lot. I just feel like we see that so much more now. Like people cling to it to fit in. Like a lot of kids like have a lot of opinions because they feel like they need to fit into it, and like that's like obviously not a good thing. And like they learn it from like friends or family and stuff. But I just really like that quote from Dolphus.
When they left the court, like how you saying they cling on to racism for just like when they left the court, what's his name, Lawson? Like they bumped into the guy who was like he acted homeless and like he had Coca-Cola in his
It was
pouch.
Dolphus.
Oh,
That's
it
his
was?
name. Yeah.
Shoot, my bad.
Yeah, he acted drunk, but like he wasn't,
Yeah.
and he has mixed kids. Right? He was white, and then his wife was
Yeah.
African American.
I feel like that was a cool little scene. That was one of my
Yeah.
favorite scenes.
That's
That is one of my favorite
that's why I brought it up because we didn't talk about that, but I really loved that.
One of my other favorite scenes is like that very last scene where Scout is like looking at the neighborhood from.
Oh yeah.
I love that scene. Because that is so cute. And she's like on the balcony. She's like, well, oh my god, what did he say? She's like, Atticus tells me to put myself in other people's shoes, but I was able to see Boo's perspective by just standing on his balcony.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, I think that was like a really big like maturing moment for her. Yeah, like really like putting in what like Atticus has told her, like his lessons, like really putting them into effect.
What are we at?
17, 13.
What a great book. I loved it.
Wow,
Really good.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Bye, guys.